You play by the rules. You keep your head down. You try to be good, honest, reasonable. And yet, what do you get for it? Powerlessness. People step on your silence like it's a welcome mat. They mistake your patience for weakness. You stay loyal. They stay calculating. You show your heart. They sharpen their knives. The truth is brutal. No one cares how good you are. They care how much control you hold. You've lived like a man, but men are broken every single day. What survives isn't always the kindest or the most moral. What survives is something colder, sharper, untouchable. There comes a moment when a man stops begging for answers and starts creating them. When he stops seeking approval and starts becoming the storm others must endure. That moment is your rebirth. And Machiavelli would call it one thing: God mode. No guilt, no hesitation, no sin. Just strategy pure, deliberate strategy wrapped in silence and delivered without mercy. You become the one they cannot read, cannot predict, cannot touch. This isn't divinity, it's domination. This video isn't here to give you motivation, it's here to change the way you think, to kill the obedient version of you, to awaken the version that commands without shouting, that moves without being seen, that bends outcomes to its will. Machiavelli never waited for power to come to him, he built it piece by piece, and now it's your turn. But before you can rise, you must destroy one of your greatest weaknesses: the need to be seen. The hunger for recognition is the first weapon your enemies will use against you. Machiavelli studied rulers who fell not because they lacked strength, but because they wanted applause. They wanted credit, praise, admiration, and the moment you desire those things, you hand people leverage over you. God mode begins with invisibility, not physical invisibility, but psychological. You no longer act for applause. You act for results quietly, strategically, without waiting for validation from anyone. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You've heard that line before? But before the world fears you, you must first stop fearing its opinion. Here's the reality: people won't appreciate your moves until they need you. They won't respect your power until it threatens them. They won't value your silence until they realize you've been pulling the strings. So, let them talk. Let them underestimate you. Let them believe you're irrelevant. While they do, you build leverage quietly, consistently, in the shadows. The man who craves recognition always shows his hand too early. He speaks when silence would have been stronger. He tries to look powerful instead of actually being powerful. That's not God mode. That's ego dressed up in insecurity. If you want real power, you must move like a ghost. Detach from the image. Detach from applause. Detach from the need for anyone to recognize your greatness. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be undeniable. And that comes not from emotions, not from explanations, but from actions with consequences. The less people see your motives, the more dangerous your presence becomes. You don't need to shout. You don't need to convince. You simply alter the outcome, and they're left wondering how you did it. You don't need to raise your voice to control people. All you need is control over how they feel when you walk into the room. And that feeling should be fear, not terror, not rage fear. The subtle kind, the kind that makes them think twice before speaking. The kind that forces hesitation before they cross your boundaries. The kind that makes them lower their eyes when they meet yours. Fear is the purest currency of power. It doesn't lie. It doesn't shift with public opinion. It creates order where morality fails. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In a world obsessed with soft ideals, he dealt in hard truths. Men are far less afraid of offending someone they love than someone they fear. Why? Because love invites assumption, comfort, and entitlement. Fear, when controlled, demands caution. It commands respect. It forces silence. So, here's the shift. Stop caring about how people feel about you. Start caring about what their nervous system does when they think of you. Your presence should be a trigger. The moment they hear your name, they should feel the weight of expectation, the discomfort of being studied, the memory of consequences. You don't threaten people. You condition them. Step 1. Use unpredictability as a weapon. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. You smile when they expect it. You talk when they want answers. You react when they provoke. Break that pattern. Your silence should make them paranoid. Your approval should be rare. Your reactions should be calculated, not emotional. Never let them know what you're thinking. Force them to guess, to project, to fear being wrong. They'll adjust their behavior just to avoid triggering you. This isn't cruelty. It's design. You're training their nervous system to obey even when you haven't said a word. Step 2. Be disproportionate occasionally. To keep fear alive, you must be calm 95% of the time and merciless 5% of the time. Let them see what happens when you're crossed. Not every time, but once is enough. And when it happens, don't explode. Don't whine. Don't explain. Just deliver consequences. A denied opportunity. A severed connection. A quiet exile. And when it lands, it must be cold, clean, final. That single moment rewires how they approach you. You become a figure they must calculate around. You become a presence they respect and advance. Step 3. Weaponize absence. There is nothing more powerful than showing up when no one expects you or not, showing up when everyone does. Absence creates tension. Tension creates fear. Most people chase attention to feel important. You use absence to build power. Leave conversations unfinished. Walk away from disrespect without explanation. Let your silence say what words cannot. Delay replies until people feel the weight of your silence more than your voice. They'll think about you more when you're not in the room, and that's when your influence multiplies. Remember this: power doesn't chase, power haunts. The more mysterious your presence, the more carefully they will treat you. Step 4. Never explain, never defend. Explaining is submission. When you justify your choices, you give others the illusion that they get a vote. They don't. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let them talk. You stay above it. And the less they understand, the more they fear. That's how legends are created, through silence, not sermons. Machiavelli's God mode is not loud. It isn't reckless. It's not even violent. It is clinical, deliberate, psychological. You don't need to shout to dominate. You don't need to wave a sword to control. All you need is to rewire people's nervous systems until they no longer see you as just a man, but as a presence they cannot afford to offend. This is how you rise. Part 2. How to build power they can't touch. Power is fragile the moment it becomes visible. The louder you show your hand, the easier it is for others to cut the strings. That's why the highest form of domination is done quietly, in the shadows. Machiavelli never praised the ruler who bragged, shouted, or basked in public attention. He admired the shadow behind the throne, the figure no one could touch because no one could prove he was even there. If you want real power, stop trying to look powerful. Become invisible. Vanish from the spotlight, but leave your influence in every corner. Let others take credit. Let them soak up attention. Let them play the part of the visible leader. Meanwhile, you shape outcomes quietly, strategically, without ever needing recognition. You don't give orders. You guide conversations. You don't announce moves. You make subtle adjustments. A whisper here, a suggestion there, and then you disappear. While they argue, you calculate. While they fight, you observe. While they chase applause, you build control brick by brick behind their backs. By the time they realize what you've built, it's already too late. Control isn't about shouting commands. It's about presence. It's about decisions that echo louder than words. The man who storms into the room demanding respect is insecure. The man who sits silently while the entire room shifts around him, that is a ruler in disguise. This is the elegance of God mode. You win without fighting. You dominate without raising your voice. You don't need to be in the spotlight because the spotlight bends naturally in your direction. People will swear they made their own choices. They'll believe they acted freely, but in reality, they're moving along the lines you drew, and they'll never even notice. That's when you know you've won. Because real power isn't just feared, it's unreachable. The strongest man in the room is not always the richest, the loudest, or the most aggressive. Often it's the one whose image is untouchable. Not fame, not popularity, a presence, a mask, a reputation that terrifies, confuses, and fascinates at the same time. When people speak of you, their tone should shift, their words should shrink, their voices should drop. Not because you threaten them directly, but because your name carries weight. That's how you build a mask, a persona that whispers before you even enter the room, a reputation that paralyzes opposition before you lift a finger. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. Perception is often more powerful than truth. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few truly experience what you are. Think about that. The world doesn't care about the raw, unfiltered you. They care about the version of you they believe in. So sharpen it, filter it, wrap it in myth. Let them imagine you. Let them fill in the blanks. Their imagination will always be bigger, scarier, and more powerful than the truth. When your persona is untouchable, your actual moves matter less. They're already reacting to your shadow. You must become the man whose name travels into rooms you've never entered, the man they prepare for without even meeting, the man they discuss, fear, and respect, even though they can't pin him down. You build that not by shouting who you are, but by becoming a mystery wrapped in power. You don't move often, but when you do, the whole room shifts. You don't speak often, but when you do, every word lands like a weight. You appear controlled, detached, above it all, and so people project divinity onto you. This is the paradox. The more they see, the less they fear. The less they see, the more they imagine. And it's in imagination that fear grows into legend. So give them nothing they can use. Don't explain yourself. Don't argue. Let your reputation live on whispers, not statements. Your reputation must feed itself through rumors, through results, through silence. If someone speaks against you, your persona should be so strong that no one believes them. If someone challenges you, their voice should sound foolish before you even respond. That is power, not the ability to dominate in the moment, but the ability to make resistance look impossible from the start. The moment people feel that your image is beyond their reach, you've already won. And this mask, it's not just about influence. It's protection. Because the instant people feel like they truly know you, they can destroy you. If they see your weaknesses, your desires, your insecurities, they can weaponize them. So you bury them. You build a mask that hides your humanity or pain hidden, your fears buried, your ambitions disguised. What they see is a polished version. Polite but detached. Calm but unreadable. Generous but always in control. You give just enough to appear relatable, never enough to be vulnerable. The ones who fail are always desperate to be understood. The ones who win build masks no one can touch. Because once your persona becomes untouchable, your influence becomes automatic. You no longer need to argue. You no longer need to chase. You no longer need to defend yourself. You exist and others adjust. That is the elegance of dominance. Not brute force, not chaos. But gravity, a pull so strong others orbit around you without even realizing it. This is how rulers become legends. When your name is spoken, it changes the atmosphere. People rehearse their words before speaking to you. They adjust their tone. They second-guess their approach. Not because you threaten them openly, but because you've created uncertainty. They don't know where they stand with you. They don't know what you want. They don't know what you'll do next. And that uncertainty is power. Because once they can define you, they can defeat you. But if they can't place you, if they can't predict you, if they can't read you, they have nothing to hold on to. They're left with only speculation. And speculation always bends toward fear. That's why you must never let them see your true hand. Give them fragments, pieces, shadows, never the full picture. Your image must be bigger than you, stronger than you, untouchable by anyone. Because once you build that mask, you stop being just a man. You become a presence, a force, a myth. And that is where real power begins. Part 3. How to kill emotion. Before it kills your power, there's one final chain left to break. And it's the hardest of them all. Not weakness, not fear, not other people's opinion. As long as you're tied to feelings, you're vulnerable. As long as your choices are painted by anger, guilt, affection, or pride, you're still on a leash. A leash the world can tug at any time. You cannot rule a world that still owns your heart. Machiavelli never trusted emotion. He studied it. He weaponized it. But he never surrendered to it because he understood what most men cannot accept. Emotion is the leash. Logic is the sword. You've been told to follow your heart. That advice keeps kings dead and armies weak. The ones who rise aren't the ones who act on impulse. They're the ones who feel everything, but act on nothing. They smile while being betrayed. They wait while being underestimated. They strike when no one is looking. Because every move they make comes from strategy, not impulse. This is the final level of God mode, the part where you bury your old self. You must let your emotions scream inside you and still remain silent. Let them insult you and still not react. Let them test your limits and respond only when the outcome serves your position. You no longer speak to be understood. You speak only to advance your position, destabilize theirs, or anchor fear. You stop craving justice because justice is a story told to men who lack power. The powerful don't seek fairness. They seek leverage. And you must stop wanting to be seen as good. That illusion will strangle you. You're not here to be a savior. You're here to be sovereign. Every man tied to emotion is predictable. He can be provoked, trapped, destroyed. The moment you cut yourself free, you become untouchable. They won't understand you. They won't understand how you endure betrayal without reaction. They won't understand how you keep smiling when they try to provoke you. They won't understand how you can strike with precision while they drown in chaos. And they'll call you cold, ruthless, soulless. But the truth is, you've finally owned your soul. You've stopped giving it away. You no longer sell your peace to every emotion that knocks. You no longer give your power to people who haven't earned your attention. You don't need to be forgiven. You don't need to be understood. You don't need to be loved. You only need to be inevitable. This is the final stage of God mode. Not rage, not revenge, but transcendence. You become unshakable, unreachable, untouchable. Not because you've lost humanity, but because you've risen above the need to display it. Emotion becomes a tool. Pain becomes information. Love becomes leverage. Loss becomes recalibration. Now you move differently. Not fast, not loud or clear, not recklessly but with terrifying clarity. You stop asking questions like, is this fair? Will they like me? Am I doing the right thing? You start asking, does this increase my power? Does this fortify my position? Does this weaken theirs? The game never ends. But from this point on, you no longer play like everyone else. You're no longer just a man. You've become something else. A strategist without chains. A ruler without mercy. A force without emotion. You've activated God mode, and there's no going back. You've mastered invisibility. You've built a persona no one can touch. You've buried the part of you that needed recognition. And now the only test left is this. Never return to the cage you just escaped. Because here's the final trap. It's not fear. It's not weakness. It's comfort. Once power begins to work in your favor, the temptation will come back. The temptation to be liked again. To explain yourself. To step back into the crowd. To rejoin the system you've now outgrown. And most men fail here. They rise only to kneel again. They win battles, but beg for applause. They conquer only to ask for acceptance. Don't be one of them. Machiavelli never admired the man who rose once. He admired the man who stayed. The ruler who understood that power must be preserved through silence, distance, and mystery. It is much safer to be feared than loved, when one of the two must be lacking. Because fear doesn't fade in your absence. Love does. Love is fleeting. Love is redirected. Love creates entitlement. Power isn't built to be emotionally sustainable. It's built to survive. That's why you must keep distance between who you are and what they see. Let them know the mask, never the man. Because if they think they know you, they will believe they can defeat you. But if your thoughts are hidden, your motives unreadable, your silence consistent, they'll never know where to strike. This is the essence of staying above the system. You belong to no crowd, no movement, no ideology. You are your own kingdom. You listen to everyone but reveal nothing. You include many but attach to no one. You say just enough to stay relevant, never enough to be predicted. You become the man they reference, the man they fear, the man they admire, but never fully understand. And when they study you, they'll only get fragments, pieces, echoes, shadows, because you've become more than a man. You've become a myth of presence not tied to rules, not confined by titles, not subject to hierarchy. This is how power becomes permanent. You don't make yourself untouchable through force. You do it through disappearance. You rise above conflict not by avoiding it but by creating it strategically, then stepping back while others destroy themselves in it. You don't defend yourself. You don't explain yourself. You become the figure that never has to. The more unpredictable you are, the more stable your rule becomes. The more invisible your strategy, the more undeniable your influence. Others may be challenged, but never you. Not because you scare them, but because they don't even feel like they're operating on the same plane. And they're right. You've bent the game. You've become the game. So, you stay above it. Because the moment you step back down, they will test you. They will believe they can reach you. They will think you're like them again. Don't give them that hope. Be present, but untouchable. Seen, but unreadable. Known, but never fully known. This is how rulers turn into legends. Not by winning once, but by sustaining power through silence, fear, and design. You are no longer in the system. You are the force, moving its walls. Welcome to the highest level. This is God mode. And once it's activated, you never switch it off. The world was never against you. It was just indifferent to weakness. You weren't betrayed. You were exposed. You weren't overlooked. You were predictable. You weren't denied power. You simply hadn't built it the way power demands, quietly, strategically, relentlessly. But that version of you is gone now. You no longer beg to be understood. You no longer waste energy on fairness. You don't explain yourself to those beneath your level. You've become the architect, the silent hand behind the curtain, the presence that's felt before it's seen. This is the final evolution. No patterns, no image to destroy, no emotions to exploit because you've become the one shaping images. You're not part of the crowd anymore. You control the crowd. And if necessary, you burn it down. You are not their equal. You are their lesson. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them wonder. They won't find answers. Only results. Only consequences. Only your name whispered with fear, spoken with respect, never fully understood, because that's the price of power. You stop being relatable. You become inevitable. So now it's your choice. Will you step back into weakness or stay untouchable? If you're ready to command from the shadows, to win without being seen, to dominate without shouting, then you're ready for the next chapter. This is the world as Machiavelli saw it. Now it's yours.